Hey there, welcome back to Creepy Encounters. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. Serious, what is the creepiest thing you have experienced that you still think about to this day? My brother had a party in college at his place on campus. They had trailers that were on campus and were a part of housing. There were a bunch of parties that night in that area. I was there for a little bit but was still in HS and at hockey practice in the morning, so had to get home earlier. My brother and his buddy were on the porch late at night, like 3 to 4 a.m, when in the distance, in the dark, they saw someone randomly running through the night with a football. My brother's buddy even yelled out, "Run, Forrest, run." Next morning the police knocked on everyone's door to interview the people who lived in the area. Apparently a student was decapitated and the body was found near the campus, but the head was missing. There was a massive search, and a few weeks later, they were looking at the track and field complex behind where my brother lived, and they found the head when emptying a porta potty at the track. My brother is fairly certain the random guy in the dark running with the football was actually the guy running with the head. Edit, I said it was a student who was killed. I meant to say it was a student who did it. The victim was a 13-year-old female. When I was in middle school we had this assistant principal who was a tad strange. He often would pet people's hair and would always dress code everyone over the most redundant things. One day on the bus people started nicknaming him Rizzo Rapist because of something a girl had said, and they all got referrals, including the girl, for slander. He later was transferred to a new school that had been just built down the road. Fast forward 2 years and I am eating noodles when the telly comes on and starts discussing how the same guy was arrested for raping, getting into sexual relationships with minors, grooming and selling child porn of these kids to both his boyfriend and on adult websites. Turns out the girl who started the rumor was one of his victims, and it still bothers me to this day about how quickly they shut her up. On top of it, she came from an abusive home with a family who hated her and a school who saw her as nothing. I'm a FedEx delivery driver. About 3 years ago, while delivering medicine to a trailer park in Vegas, I encountered a man I'll never forget. I had to obtain a signature, so I knocked on the door. Out came an old, overweight, tall, balding man with a yellow crust building up on his goatee. First thing he says to me is, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you look like you would be delicious." I give him a nervous grin and make small talk. He realized how nervous I got and started calling me Prince Charming. Never again did I deliver directly to him, but would see him around when delivering to neighboring homes. On a family vacation when I was a kid, renting a beach condo. The unit next door was a regular residence, and we met the family, nice people. They were leaving at the end of the week for their own trip, but the daughter had to work one more overnight shift as a nurse. The dad and the younger kids left that day, and the mother and daughter were going to leave the next morning and catch up with him. That morning, as we were packing up our own stuff to go home, we started hearing sirens out on the road in front of the condos. There were several emergency vehicles outside, and eventually an air evac helicopter landed on the road and took off with a gurney rolled out of the unit next to us. A while later, we got the story. The daughter had come home from her shift and found the mother beaten to death with a hammer or something similar. We hadn't heard or seen anything, even though we shared a wall. The creepiest part was that the officers found that the killer had accessed the house by the back porch door, facing the beach. The bedroom me and my brothers were sleeping in was down on the ground floor, with the same porch door leading out to the beach, only a few feet away from that same door and only separated by a waist-high rail. Talking about it later, we weren't even sure we had locked the door that night. One night I was sleeping over at a friend of mine's girlfriend's house. I was having trouble falling asleep, so I decided to play some video games. As I raised my head off the pillow, I saw 2 dark figures standing in the corners of the room. My first thought was, fuck that, so I lowered my head back down on the pillow and closed my eyes. For some reason, I fell asleep easily after seeing them. I told my friend what I saw the next day, and he told me that he has seen the exact same figures there before. He said that some days he would wake up and the Xbox would be on, knowing that he turned it off before bed. His girl claimed we were crazy and that she had never seen the figures before, but we were certain we saw the exact same figures in the corners of the room. I was in the Navy stationed inland because I was in a school. I had a friend drop me off at a store, and when I was done started walking back to the base. I noticed this car driving slowly in the road, keeping pace with me. Some weird guy was smiling at me. I am also a guy. More Than a Feeling was playing loud. Eventually the car went ahead of me, but then there it was on a side street waiting for me to pass. Again he drove next to me slowly with the same song playing. This scenario went on for about 7 or 8 blocks, same song playing over and over. I finally made it to a nearby mall and went inside. I stayed in one place inside the mall to make sure I lost him. I was pretending to talk to someone on a payphone. Suddenly there he was inside the mall peeking around a corner. As soon as he turned around, I ran out of the mall through the closest exit and ran about another 2 blocks to the Navy base. I never saw him again, but it creeped me out so much that every time I hear More Than a Feeling playing, it reminds me of the experience. When I was about 8 or 9, my mom's friends took us to see the puppy they were going to buy. The owner offered us to walk the parent dogs, 2 Rottweilers. I remember their names till this day. They were super friendly and walked off leash with the 2 kids of my mom's friend, and myself. When we arrived in a grassy area surrounded by trees, a tall guy approached us. He grabbed my shoulder and the dogs went completely nuts. I remember he had a mirror and tried shining light into the dog's eyes. The mother dog stayed circling me while I ran to the house, and the other dog chased after this guy until he was gone. It was terrifying, but what really stands by me is that those dogs didn't know me from before, yet they protected me and my friends as if their lives depended on it. Edit: the man was wearing one of those long, leather trench coats and his mirror was very small. So I assume he wasn't randomly strolling the woods with a mirror. I think we got lucky that day and I'm forever grateful for those dogs. When I was around 20, we had this weird neighbor that we didn't think about too much. One night I was up at 2 a.m. and noticed out my window that I could see the reflection of a fire. So I went into the completely dark living room and peeked through the window to make sure it wasn't someone's house. It was the neighbor, with a bonfire in his driveway, just standing with his back to it, staring directly at me. Now, I hadn't made a sound or anything. There is no way he heard or saw me coming. He was just staring directly at me. So being completely freaked out, I went to bed and couldn't fall asleep because I was convinced he was going to murder me. About half an hour later I hear crunching, and unlike probs, just a raccoon in the driveway. Then I hear the clapping. I look out from my window to the driveway, and there he is, standing in my gravel driveway, clapping and staring directly into my bedroom window. When I was in college, 20 plus years ago, I had a desk chair that was on rollers, the kind where the pedestal ends in a 5-armed star with a roller at each end. The arms of the star were made of hard-formed plastic, and were pretty thick. I was up very late one night cramming for a final, and went to bed for no more than an hour or so to take a nap. When I got up I went back and sat in the chair and immediately realized something was wrong. All 5 of the hard plastic arms were warped and bent at almost 90 degrees, all in the same direction. It certainly wasn't like that an hour prior when I left it. Again, this was hard, brittle, thick plastic. It shouldn't bend, it would just snap under enough force. I suppose maybe if you heated it up to soften it enough, you could reshape it, but how could that have happened? I lived alone, doors were locked. It'd be the most bizarre prank in the world to break into somebody's apartment with a blowtorch or something to reshape their chair legs. I kept that chair for years and years, even though it was now basically unusable, because I thought that one day I'd be staring at it and the answer would come to me. I have absolutely zero belief in anything supernatural and nothing else bizarre has ever happened to me, but I think about this constantly. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more real-life creepy encounters around the world. See you in the next video. Bye.